We are still explaining what aniyya. لنية فائدتان. لنية فائدتان. Regarding intention, there are two benefits we need to take note. Two important benefits we need to take note. Number one of it is what? تمييز العبادات عن بعضها. تمييز العبادات عن بعضها is supposed to what? Is supposed to make distinction by differentiating between ibadah from other part of ibadah. Intention. Looking into issue of intention, there are two benefits. One of it is what? We are expected to differentiate between one ibadah from other ibadah in our intention. مثلا I can give as an example. كتمييز الصدقة عن قضاء الدين. Get it? It's for you to what? It's for you to differentiate between what? A sadaqah, you're giving out sadaqah, you're giving out money and you're paying back your debt. Or example, it's just like for you to differentiate the intention of fasting, siyamun nafila, that is the nafila fasting is for you to what? To differentiate the nafila fasting from what? Siyamul farida, from the compulsory what? Fasting. These are still from an issue of intention. You have this intention, and these two things are ibadah. You are trying to differentiate this ibadah from the other ibadah within your what? Within your intention. So we must look into this benefit very well. The benefit is what? Is for us to differentiate between ibadah from another ibadah. You differentiate between siyam and nafila from siyam al faridah, the compulsory fasting and the sunnah fasting. These two things are from among what? They are ibadah, they are act of worship, but you try to what? To differentiate between them with your intention. Number two things, the number two we need to know under this importance of niyyah, which is intention, is tamyizul ibadati anil adat. It's supposed to what? It's supposed to have the means of differentiating between what? We differentiate between intention of ibadah and the intention of ada. Ibadah means worship, and ada means what? Our custom and our tradition. So we need to make what distinction by the what? By differentiating between them in our intention. Masalan, I've give you example of the first, which is the differentiation between one act of worship from another act of worship. So you are fasting, sunnah fasting, the intention should be different from the intention of fasting what? The compulsory fasting. And also the number two here is for you to differentiate between ibadah and ada. Ada means what? Your culture. Try to differentiate between culture and what? And ibadah, which is worship. Let me give you an example. Example of it is a man took his bath and intended that he is taking ritual bath, the ghusl janaba. That type of bath he took becomes what? An act of worship. وَيُثَابُ عَلَيْهَا, and indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward him. I don't know if you're getting it, but if you take normal bath, like normal bath, you take normal bath, get it, is an ada. But when somebody is what is trying to, you must differentiate between what? The ada and what? And the ibadah. So whenever you bath and you have the intention that this bath or this bath you take is for ghusl janaba, indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you. And if somebody stood up and he poured water on himself without having the intention of taking the ritual bath, he has no single reward, and that becomes what? An ada. Because the intention he took is what? Is for him to just take the what? Just to bath, for him to relax himself or for him to be clean. You get it? So this is one of the benefits of learning what a niyyah. Niyyah differentiate between what? Ibadah and ada. And also intention differentiate between what? One act of worship from another act of worship. Now, then after then, the Prophet Muhammad sallam said, the innama there is adatul Asr. It shows that what it has been restricted, that there is you can't take out of the box, that everything is in line with intention. There's nothing in life that you do without having intention for. In as much as you are you are a grown up person, in anything you do, you must have intention in it. You must have intention. Either your intention is sincere or your intention is what is not sincere. Then the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu salam said, وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَى. وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَى. He said, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِنِيَّاتٍ. يعني ما من عمل إلا له نية. There is no act of there is no action at all that a man will act upon without having intention. There is no single action. So it shows that what it is restricted in a box, that everything in any view of our daily activities, anything we do, in as much as we are still akil, we are still in ourselves and we are not insane. Anything we do, we have intention for doing it. Then the Prophet said, وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَى. وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَى. Yet the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam said, and indeed every person will receive what he intended. وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَى. He said, and indeed every person will receive what he intended. This shows that whatever you intend before acting upon any action, that is what you are going to have. So if your intention was not is for you to do for people to see, indeed people will see and you have no reward in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is teaching us that what? Wujubul ikhlasu lillah. It's teaching that there is what compulsion of having sincerity for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fi jamil a'mal, in every of our action. In every of our action we must be sincere to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we've explained to ourselves sincerity for Allah. Sincerity for Allah. When we started, we mentioned that Islam is built upon two things. This hadith we are reading through, the hadith of innamal a'malu biniyya. This hadith teaches us what? It teaches us ikhlas. And the second hadith is the hadith of Nana Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha, when the Prophet said, Man amila amalan laysa alayhi amruna fawarad. This hadith teaches us what? Al-itba'u liman? Lil-Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So for every of our action to be accepted, it has to be upon these two things. So here the Prophet said, وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَى. And indeed every person will receive what he intended. So whenever you intend acting upon anything at all, if your intention is for Allah, indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to reward you. And if your intention is not for Allah and it's for people to see you, then you are going to have your reward. وَيَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have mercy on us. So this is that whosoever intend and he act upon an action for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is, in his intention, he has intention for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, seeking for the pleasure of Allah and seeking for success on the day of judgment. Wallahi kataballahu lahu thawab amali. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will document for him the reward of his action. So this is that whenever you are sincere and you are looking forward to the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you are looking forward for you to be successful on the day of judgment, indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you for the action you acted upon, because your intention was sincere for Allah. And whosoever act upon an action for people to see, or because of riyah, or people, or as-sum'ah, for people to hear, inna lillah faqad habita amalahu. Indeed that person has destroyed his action. وَكَتَبَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وِذْرًا. And indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will document for him his wizr. His burden will be upon him, that is, the punishment will be upon him. He will be written a sin. وَيَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ. Then the Prophet, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in this aspect, now this is that in anything in life, anything you do, if you are sincere for Allah, you are going to see the reward. And if you are not sincere, you are going to see the reward as well. Ima thawab wa ima iqab. If it is good, Allah will give you good reward. Allah will reward you with what? With Jannah. And if it is bad, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you with otherwise. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say in Surah Al-Kahf, verse 110. Allah said, فَمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو لِقَاءَ رَبِّهِ فَلْيَعْمَلْ عَمَلًا صَالِحًا وَلَا يُشْرِكْ بِعِبَادَةِ رَبِّهِ أَحَدًا. Allah said, فَمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو لِقَاءَ رَبِّهِ, whosoever intend meeting his Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, upon goodness, whosoever intend meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Allah will be pleased with him, فَلْيَعْمَلْ عَمَلًا صَالِحًا, the person to act upon what? He or she to act upon goodness. Have sincerity in your action for Allah. وَلَا يُشْرِكْ بِعِبَادَةِ رَبِّهِ أَحَدًا, and do not associate anybody with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your ibadah, that is in your worship. Do not worship Allah for people to see. Do not worship Allah for people to what? To see. And do not worship Allah out of showing off. Indeed, whenever you are sincere, Allah will reward you with the best. And if you are not sincere, Allah will reward you with otherwise. We ask Allah to grant us sincerity in our statement, in our action, in any of our endeavor. Now, and also, ويجب على الإنسان العاقل أن يجعل همه الآخرة في أمور كلها. It is said by the ulama rahimahullah that يجب على الإنسان, it is compulsory on people al-aqil, who is in his or her normal sense. Indeed, if truly you are in your normal sense, it is compulsory on you. And يجعل همه آخرة, you should make your himma, that is your himma, that is your intention, everything about you. The most important thing about you should be what? Seeking for al-akhirah. Don't be seeking for the dunya. Don't be after the dunya. Seek for akhirah. A lot of people commit show off or doing things for people to see or acting upon act of worship without having sincerity for Allah because of things of this dunya. They are looking for things of this dunya. So for you to be free from having what or default in your sincerity for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you should always take your himma. That is, the important things in your life should be what? Seeking for al-akhirah, not seeking for the dunya. Be serious. Seek toward attaining what? Success on the day of judgment, not this dunya. This dunya is what? This dunya is what? وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ كُلُّ مَنْ عَلَيْهَا فَانٍ وَيَبْقَى وَجْهُ رَبِّكَ ذُو الْجَلَالِ وَالْإِكْرَامِ. Everything in this dunya, wallah, it will come to an end. Everything. Is it house? Is it wife? Is it money? What? Wallahi, everything will come to an end. So as a good Muslim, if you want to have sincerity for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make your himma, that is, the important thing in your life should be what? Seeking for the pleasure of Allah, and for you to what? Seeking toward attaining Jannah, which is Darul Akhirah, for you to be successful there. Seek toward achieving that. Because the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, he mentioned in one of the authentic hadiths reported by Ibn Majah. I think we read this hadith in one of the book we read in our class back then in the masjid, the book of Imam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, Al-Wasiyat al-Sughra, Sharh Hadith Ittaqillah Haythuma Kun. The Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, he mentioned, he said, Man kanat dunya himma, whosoever makes dunya is himma, that is his own major target. The most important thing about him is what? Is seeking the dunya. He's always after the dunya. He wants to achieve everything in this dunya. Prophet said, فَرَّقَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ أَمْرَهُ. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala what? فَرَّقَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ أَمْرَهُ. Allah will destroy his what? His affair for him. Allah will scatter his affair for him. If you make this dunya your number one, you make the most important thing in your life is checking for the dunya. The Prophet said, what? فَرَّقَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ أَمْرَهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make your affair difficult for you. Your affair will be scattered. It will be destroyed. Your affair is not going to be organized. وَجَعَلَ فَقْرَهُ بَيْنَ عَيْنَيْهِ. And your poverty will be between your eyes. People know that you are, wallah, you are suffering because you are seeking for the dunya. You think that the dunya is the one providing food and sustenance for you? Wallah, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that sustains. It's Allah that provides sustenance. وَلَمْ يَأْتِ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَا كُتِبَ لَهُ. And the Prophet said that you will never attain anything in this dunya except that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written for you. Ikhwa, make the dunya look like the dunya. Don't make the dunya the number one. The dunya is nothing. The dunya is of lower aspect compared to that to Darul Akhirah. Let's work toward achieving the Akhirah, not this dunya. The dunya will come to an end. This dunya what? It will come to an end. Then the Prophet Muhammad said, وَمَنْ كَانَتْ آخِرَةً وَمَنْ كَانَ آخِرَةً هِمَّتَهُ. That is, whosoever make the Akhirah, that is the day of judgment, becomes his own important. It becomes more important to him than the dunya. He said, جَمَعَ اللَّهُ لَوْ أَمْرَهُ. Indeed, Allah will compose his affair for him. Allah will make his affair easy for him. Allah will make him an easygoing person. He's passing through a lot, but despite that, Allah makes his affair easy for him. He's living well because he never look at this dunya to be something. His own target is what? Jannah. His target is what? Al-Akhirah. So, ikhwa, let's make Al-Akhirah our own what? Our own himma. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Rabbul Izzah to make it easy for us. Then the Prophet Muhammad said, فَمَنْ كَانَتْ إِجْرَاتُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. In this aspect, the Prophet said, فَمَنْ كَانَتْ إِجْرَاتُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. Whosoever's migration was for Allah and His Messenger. That is, whosoever migrated from Mecca to Medina, not for the dunya, not for anything. He migrated just for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and just for the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu salam. Indeed, the Prophet said what? فَإِجْرَةُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. Indeed, that migration of his or us is for the sake of Allah. Indeed, Allah will accept that migration from him. In this aspect, let's look into the explanation of Al-Hijrah. What is Hijrah? أصل الحجرة. الهجرة means well الانقطال من دار الكفر إلى دار الإسلام. The ulama explain that Al-Hijrah means for you to what? For you to pack and leave Darul Kufr, a city of disbelief, to the city of Islam. ومن دار المعصية إلى دار الصلاح. And for you to leave Darul Ma'siyah, a city of transgression and city of sin, to a place that is pure and is only meant for the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is hijrah. And this hijrah, wallahi, this hijrah, لا تنقطع أبدا. لا تنقطع أبدا. The ulama rahimahumullah, they say what this hijrah, it will not cut. It will still continue. It will still continue until when the sun rises from the west. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentioned to us one of the hadiths reported by Imam Ahmad and Imam Abu Dawud and also Imam An-Nisa'i. They reported this hadith. The Prophet said, لا تنقطع الحجرة حتى تنقطع التوبة. The Prophet said what? لا تنقطع الحجرة حتى تنقطع التوبة. The Prophet said al-hijrah will not cut. That is, migration will not stop. حتى تنقطع التوبة, until tawbah stops. ولا تنقطع التوبة, and tawbah will not stop حتى يطلع الشمس من مغربها, until when the sun rises from the west. When the sun rises from the west. This is the al-hijrah still continue. If you are living in a place of kufru, you have the full right to live there. To where? To a city of Islam. You have what? The full right to live there to a city of Islam. Now there is this contradiction, and I think is something of benefit that we need to know. The Prophet said that Tawbah, Hijrah will not stop until when Tawbah stops. Hijrah will not stop except when Tawbah stops, isn't it? Now, there is one of the hadiths of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when the Prophet Muhammad said, and this hadith is in Sahih. The Prophet said what? La hijrata ba'da al-fath. The Prophet said what? There is no hijrah after Fath al-Makkah. After Fath al-Makkah, there is no hijrah. That is, when the Muslims conquered Mecca, there is no hijrah after this. What do you have to say about this? The first hadith says that hijrah will not stop until when the sun rises from the west. Now the Prophet said, لا هجرة بعد الفتح. There is no hijrah after Fath al-Makkah. Then, one thing we need to know is the second hadith is makhsus. The hadith is what is specified because it's talking about what? It's talking about Makkah. It's talking about what? Makkah. Why the first hadith is talking about the generality of hijrah, migration as a whole. So what the Prophet mean in La Hijra Ba'd al-Fath means what? That there is no what? There is no hijrah from Mecca anymore. There is no hijrah from Mecca. You are not expected to what? To migrate from Mecca to any other place. Because the Fath al-Makkah, the Muslim has conquered Mecca and the Mecca now belongs to the Muslims. So no need of you leaving Mecca to another place. Mecca is safe for you as a Muslim. Get it? So La Hijra minha. There is no hijrah from Mecca any more longer. So this hadith is what is makhsus. That is what is makhsus is specified to Mecca alone, not generally. Those issues that you can migrate from Mecca to another place because Mecca becomes what? A Darul Islam. So you can leave Mecca and go to Ida, or you can leave Mecca to Nigeria. Imagine. No, 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 no. But you can migrate from Nigeria to Mecca, and from Mecca, from Nigeria to other places that are best for you to practice your religion. Wallahu ta'ala alam. So this issue is clear. Now, hijrah in the Sharia, that is in the Islamic wada in Islam, hijrah in Sharia يراد به أحد أمور الثلاثة. That is, whenever you hear hijrah, the meaning of hijrah is one from among the three things that I'm going to list. Whenever you hear hijrah, migration is of three types. And one of it is what? Hijr al-Makan. We have Hijr al-Makan and we have Hijr al-Amal and we have Hijr al-Amil. Hijr al-Makan, Hijr al-Amal and Hijr al-Amil. The first one is migration from somewhere. Al-Makan, a place. Hijr al-Makan means what? It's for you to what? It's for you to migrate, it's for you to pack from a place of kufr to a place of iman. You are living in Ida, you can't practice Islam. You can move and take your load from Ida, you go to Lokoja. Or you are in Lokoja, you can practice Islam, you can move from Lokoja down to Okene. You are living in Okene and you think you can practice Islam, you can move from there to Ajokuta. These are what it is. So Hijr al-Makan is there. It's for you to migrate from one place to another. It is also known as what? Al-Hijrah. So this doesn't stop until the day of judgment. That is when the sun rises from the west. The number two is Hijr al-Amal. Is for you to what? Is for you to, you as a Muslim, is for you to migrate away from Anwa'i Shirk. Is for you to run away from the types of Shirk. Wal Ma'asi, and all forms of what? All forms of sins. You run away from them. Because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in one of the hadiths, and this hadith is muttafaq alayh. It was agreed upon by Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim, and reported it from one Sahaba. The Prophet said, Al-Muslim man salim al-Muslimuna min lisanihi wa yadihi, wal muhajir man hajara ma naha Allahu an. The Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu salam, he mentioned that a Muslim is the one who other Muslims are safe from his tongue and his hand. And an individual who migrated is he who migrated away from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited. So this is the word. You must run away from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made prohibited for you to do. Like telling lies, insulting, and some other things. These are things that you are supposed to what? To run away from. It's called what? Hijrul Amal. That is migration of action. You migrate away from some actions. Because those actions are kufr. And those actions are sins. Because of that, you run away from them. And the last aspect of it is Hijrul Amil. Hijr al-amil, it means what? It's for you to what? It's for you to migrate away from somebody. You migrate away from somebody, al-amil, somebody who is working. You do away from him. You don't want to do things with him. And this aspect is hijran ahl al-bid'ah. It's for you to run away from the people of bid'ah, the people of innovation, the people of hawa, the people of our desire. You run away from them. You distance yourself away from them. You can migrate away from them. But it has conditions. What are those conditions? One of it is if you see that migrating away from them is of benefit to the ummah, you run away from them. But whenever you see that you migrating away from them will be a means of their deviation more, wallah ikhwa, stick to them, call them to the Tawheed, call them to Islam, call them to the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the better understanding. Now, then the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, ومن كانت إجرته إلى دنيا يصيبها أو امرأة ينكحها Saudi class. I'm so sorry. I was having some little problem here with me. But inshallah, I think I'll fix this in our next class. Inshallah. Now, the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, ومن كانت إجرته إلى دنيا يصيبها أو إلى امرأة ينكحها فإجرة إلى ما هاجر إليه. The Prophet said that, and whosoever's migration was for a worldly gain or for the marriage of a woman, the Prophet specified that whosoever migrate because of the things of this dunya, we've mentioned to us, whosoever make his himma, his own number one, is the most important thing to him is the dunya, Allah will destroy his affair. Allah will make his affair scatter for him. He will be living a miserable life. And whosoever makes Allah and the akhirah his own number one, his own, the ultimate goal is running after is the akhirah. What will happen? Allah will what? Allah jama' Allahu amrahu. Allah will gather his affair together for him. Allah will make him a better person. So ikhwa, let's make our himma to be what? To be al-akhirah, not this dunya. Then the Prophet specifies, he said, awi mura'atin yankihuha. Or because of a woman, he or a woman is seek a hand in marriage. You are migrating because of a woman. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. In this aspect, the Prophet, in one of the hadiths of the Prophet, if I can still recall, the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet said, "ما تركت بعدي الفتنة أضر على الرجال من فتنة النساء." The Prophet Muhammad said, "ما تركت بعدي," I've not left anything, I've not left any fitna, any trial, or any means of tribulation. I've not leave any means of tribulation back for my ummah. أضر على الرجال, that is more severe on men than the fitna of the women. Wallah ikhwa, women are fitna. Women, they are fitna. Women, they are fitna. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us better understanding, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us good ending. This is just a little we have to say in today's class, and inshallah in subsequent time we'll fix our class better, because today things were moving up and down. I think it's because today is the first day we are starting. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put barakah in our class, and we ask Allah سبحانه وتعالى to accept it from us the night of ibadah. أسأل الله تعالى أن يرزقنا إخلاص في القول والعمل. وسبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. نعم. Inshallah, we are ending to this class, and tomorrow by 8:10 we continue. بارك الله فيكم وزادكم الله علما. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Now, the video is there. Inshallah, I'll send it to you shortly. Now.